If you've been in crypto for more than 5 minutes, you've heard the debate XRP or XLM, which one is going to win, which one's a scam, which one's the chosen one, and which one's just tagging along for the ride. But here's the thing nobody tells you. These two aren't just rivals. They're practically siblings born from the same codebase created by the same guy. But they split paths and never looked back. Now both are quietly laying the foundation for something much bigger than speculation, the new global financial system. And here's where it gets wild while the masses chase McCoins and TikTok trends. XRP and XLM are working with governments, central banks, and Fortune 5s are reshaping how money moves around the world. So today we're breaking down the real battle that's been brewing behind the scenes. XRP versus XLM, not hype, not price predictions. We're talking adoption, infrastructure, regulation, utility, the stuff that actually builds wealth in the next financial era. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which project is better positioned to dominate the trillion-dollar flows of the future. And I guarantee it's not the one your friends are hyping on Twitter. Let's get into it. Let's start with the brutal truth. The traditional financial system is not just creaking, it's collapsing under its own weight. Central banks are stuck in an endless cycle of printing money to solve short-term crisis, only to spark long-term instability. Inflation may be down from its 2022 peak, but it's far from dead. Interest rates are whipsawing markets. Government debt is ballooning past unsustainable levels, and sovereign defaults are no longer theoretical. They're happening in the developing world. Millions still rely on informal money networks just to send $50 home in the developed world. Businesses are paying up to 6% in hidden fees just to move capital across borders. Even today in 2025, the average international wire transfer still takes 2 to 5 days to settle, and that's assuming it doesn't get flagged, delayed, or outright rejected. Due to compliance layers no one fully understands. Legacy payment systems, like Swift, were never designed for the digital age. They're slow, expensive, and opaque. And while fintech apps slap modern UIs over archaic rails, the underlying infrastructure remains painfully outdated. The global financial system is like a 1970s power grid trying to run a 2025 AI supercluster. It's inefficient, fragmented, and breaking under the weight of new demands. Enter blockchain. Not as a hype vehicle, not as a get-rich-quick scheme, but as the rails for a new financial internet. This isn't theoretical anymore. We're already seeing governments test. Central bank digital currencies. CBDC's remittance giants are integrating stable coins. Humanitarian aid is flowing over public chains. Quietly, but surely the foundation is being laid for a financial system where settlement is instant, trust is verifiable, and access is universal. And at the epicenter of this shift are two veteran projects that have spent over a decade building real infrastructure. XRP and XLM. Both were born from the same origin story. JetMB, a key figure in Ripple's early days, broke off to create Stellar with a mission more focused on inclusion. But the split was more than philosophical. It defined two competing visions for how blockchain should reshape money. Ripple took the high road, literally courting central banks, forging enterprise partnerships, and embedding itself in the institutional bloodstream. Stellar, on the other hand, doubled down on open access building tools for grassroots developers, noses, and wallets to reach the unbanked. What we're witnessing now is a head-to-head race to define the next layer of global finance, not just in theory, but in practice, not just in white papers, but in corridors of power and in refugee camps alike. The stakes trillions of dollars, the prize becoming the de facto protocol for moving value across the globe. So here's the million-dollar question. Maybe literally, which coin is better positioned to power this next-generation financial system? XRP or XLM? Ripple Labs didn't waste time chasing the retail hype train or playing into speculative mania from day one. Their strategy was different: skip the memecoin theatrics and go straight to where the real money moves. Banks, financial institutions, and global payment providers. XRP wasn't designed to go viral on crypto Twitter. It was engineered to settle trillions in value at the institutional layer of finance. Ripple, paired with on-demand liquidity, ODL, is more than just a payment rail. It's a direct assault on the inefficiencies of correspondent banking. No more idle capital trapped in Nostrovastro accounts. No more waiting days for cross-border settlements. ODL uses XRP as a bridge asset to instantly convert and settle transactions between any two fiat currencies. That's why financial titans like Santander SB Holdings, Tranglo, and PayYPL got in early. They weren't betting on price, they were buying infrastructure. But Ripple didn't stop at payments in a move that. At Shock Traditional Finance, Ripple acquired a $1.25 billion stake in Hidden Road, one of the fastest growing prime brokerages in the digital asset space. This was a strategic leap into credit lending and foreign exchange markets. Ripple now has access to the plumbing behind institutional capital flows. Imagine a future where XRP isn't just the bridge for payments, but also the key that unlocks liquidity for loans, FX swaps, and tokenized assets. That's the multi-trillion-dollar horizon Ripple is aiming at. And when it comes to regulation, Ripple isn't just surviving, it's winning after nearly 3 years of legal trench warfare with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Ripple emerged with a landmark decision. XRP is not a security when sold on exchanges. That court ruling didn't just validate XRP, it set a precedent while other projects remain in legal limbo. Ripple now operates with a clarity most of the crypto industry would kill. For that's why US-based institutions are quietly restarting conversations. The doors are reopening on the CBDC front. Ripple is carving out a position most crypto projects can only dream of. It's working directly with central banks in Palau, Colombia, Montenegro, and Bhutan to build pilot programs and infrastructure for sovereign digital currencies. Ripple isn't just reacting to the coming wave of CBDCs, it's helping design the surfboard with the XRP ledger powering tokenized fiat assets. At the protocol level, Ripple is making itself indispensable to the next phase of central banking. That said, XRP still faces headwinds. A significant portion of the supply remains in Ripple's control, leading to recurring criticism over centralization. Price action has also lagged behind narrative breakthroughs, frustrating longtime holders. And while institutional demand is real, retail skepticism hasn't fully evaporated post-lawsuit. But here's what separates XRP from the pack. Fundamentals, not just marketing, not just white papers, real products, real corridors, real compliance, real integrations into traditional finance. And in a world where utility, not hype, is beginning to dictate value, XRP may not just be the banker's coin, could be the backbone of the new financial system. If utility is king, XRP isn't just royalty, it's already wearing the crown in half. The world's banking corridors, Stellar often gets dismissed as Ripple's lightweight sibling, a stripped-down version of XRP for the idealists. But that view couldn't be more off base, because while XRP builds bridges for central banks and institutional corridors, XLM is quietly becoming the financial backbone for the unbanked, the underserved, and the overlooked, where Ripple went for top. Down disruption, Stellar took a bottom-up approach. The Stellar Development Foundation, SDF, didn't chase flashy partnerships with multinational banks. It went where traditional finance simply doesn't go, into war zones, into refugee camps, into rural communities where mobile phones, not bank accounts, are the gateway to money. XLM powers a network where anyone from a fintech startup in Kenya to a nonprofit in Syria can issue a stable coin, build a payment rail, or deploy programmable financial logic. And with the launch of Sorbonne Stellar's smart contract platform, it now offers the tools to bring complex DeFi systems to populations that Ethereum gas fees would price out. Let's talk real-world wins. Pelago Labs is using Stellar to rebuild trade finance from the ground up small businesses in regions like Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Now that we've broken down the philosophies and global moves behind XRP and XLM, let's get into the cold, hard data. Because beyond the narratives and headlines, the numbers never lie, and they reveal just how different these two giants truly are. Let's break it down. One use case, Focus XRP, is laser-focused on institutional-scale finance. Its mission: replace outdated correspondent banking systems with real-time on-demand liquidity. We're talking cross-border settlements, CBDC infrastructure, and credit corridors where billions flow in minutes. XLM, meanwhile, plays the grassroots game. It's the blockchain of choice for peer-to-peer remittances, NGO operations, emerging market trade. And now with Sorbonne, decentralized finance for underserved populations. In essence, XRP serves the banks, XLM serves the people. Two partners and integrations. XRP's Rolodex includes the heavyweights of global finance: Bank of America, SBI Holdings, Triangle, the Palau government, and now Hidden Road, a $1.25 billion entry into the institutional credit world. Ripple's tentacles reach into corridors that move billions per day. XLM's roster hits differently. Think MoneyGram for retail cash ramps, ENHCR for refugee aid distribution circle, for global USDC flows, and Pelago Labs for rethinking financing. These aren't just partners. They're lifelines for real-world usage. Bottom line, XRP targets, top-tier legacy players, XLM targets, real-world distribution, and bottom-up adoption. 3 smart contracts. XRP is taking baby steps here. Its Hooks protocol is still in development, and while it offers potential adoption, remains slow. Developers are waiting, and so is the DeFi ecosystem. XLM, on the other hand, has already gone live with Sorabon. This lean, efficient, and built for scalability. Sora's developer ecosystem is growing rapidly with grants actively being distributed, fueling a real DeFi wave, minus the Ethereum congestion and gas drama in the programmability race. XLM is clearly ahead for tokenomics. XRP has a total supply of 100 billion tokens, the majority of which were pre-mined. Ripple Labs still holds a significant share, which has led to criticism around centralization and potential sell pressure. XLM originally launched with 50 billion tokens, but after multiple burns by the Stellar Development Foundation SDF, the circulating supply is now much leaner and better distributed. The SDF is more hands-off in terms of market operations. Compared to Ripple Labs, this gives XLM more credibility in decentralization circles, while XRP's token model aligns with institutional control. 5 regulatory standing. XRP fought and won a major legal battle against the US SEC. The landmark decision that XRP is not a security, when sold to retail users, has paved the way for US banks and institutions to adopt the asset. With more confidence, this regulatory clarity is a major competitive advantage. XLM has kept a low profile legally. While it hasn't been sued or targeted, it also hasn't been given explicit clearance in the way XRP has. That could be a plus or a minus, depending on how regulation evolves in today's compliance. First World XRP holds the edge. 6 price performance as of mid-2025. XRP is almost equal to $2.15. After consolidating for nearly 2 years, post-lawsuit XRP broke out significantly, following Ripple's institutional expansion and global licensing wins. XLM is almost equal to 0.258. XLM has seen a more gradual rise supported by steady adoption, Sorabon traction, and real-world use in aid and fintech, while XRP's price action has been more explosive due to headline catalysts and institutional hype. XLM has enjoyed slow organic growth from actual usage and grassroots implementation. Final breakdown: XRP leads in enterprise adoption, regulatory clarity, institutional partnerships, and transaction volumes. XLM leads in smart contract, utility, decentralization, humanitarian adoption, and DeFi expansion. Both have underperformed meme coins and raw speculation. But speculation isn't the game here. The game is utility, real-world traction, and global scale. The real question isn't which is better. It's which architecture scales faster into the new financial reality we're entering. The numbers suggest XRP is sprinting in enterprise corridors, while XLM is laying bricks in emerging markets. Both could win just on different fronts. Who wins the future? Here's the hard truth: there may not be a single winner. The global financial system is too vast, too diverse, and too fragmented for one protocol to rule them all. XRP could dominate CBDCs and high-value corridors. XLM could empower wallets in refugee camps and trade in emerging markets, and both could coexist, powering different layers of a global value stack. But if we're talking dominance in terms of influence, adoption, and infrastructural integration, here's how the outlook breaks down. If regulatory clarity, institutional muscle, and enterprise networks define the future, XRP leads Ripple, has the legal wins, the banking relationships, and the capital war chest to scale fast where it matters, high-volume corridors, and CBDC infrastructure. If programmability, financial inclusion, and grassroots adoption win out, XLM takes the crown. Stellar's DeFi-ready architecture, humanitarian integrations, and developer-friendly network make it the go-to protocol for building the open financial rails of the future. And yet we're entering a multi-chain era. Interoperability, not dominance, may define the next chapter. The real winners could be protocols like Flare Chainlink or Cosmos that connect siloed networks into seamless liquidity layers. XRP and XLM don't have to cancel each other out. They could in fact complement each other still for investors and builders. This isn't just about price. It's about aligning with the narrative that wins long-term. It's about asking, will the future of money be corporate first or community-driven, fast and compliant, or flexible and inclusive? Because whether you side with XRP's institution first, power grab, or XLM's people first revolution, one thing is clear: this battle is far from over. And it's just getting started. So now you've seen both sides, the banks versus the builders, the institutions versus the people, XRP versus XLM. Which side are you on? Let us know in the comments. And if you're serious about being ahead of the curve before the world catches on, hit that subscribe button. We break down real crypto fundamentals, not hype, and bring you what the mainstream isn't talking about. Because in the race to rebuild the global financial system, knowledge isn't just power, it's profit subscree.